We're so excited to have you here today in this space, talking about our latest Leadership Coach webinar, Beyond Advice, the True Role of a Mentor. So again, for those that are just coming in, really excited to welcome you to the space. We are doing a three-part series actually with our Leadership Coach webinar series regarding your network, how can you grow it, how can you be more strategic in who you need. And today's focus is on mentorship and the role that mentors can play within your career experience. So today we are joined by India Brunson. So she is the program manager here at Forte for our undergraduate programs team. She has experience with mentorship programs. So we're really excited to have her take the stage today to kind of teach you hopefully something new about mentorship and how you can really activate it and make it work for yourself within your career. So with that, I'm actually going to have her take it away, go through the presentation. If you have any questions, definitely put them in the Q&A space. At the end, we'll be taking any questions that you may have and lifting them up to the group. So again, India, welcome. We're really excited to have you here today.
Well, thank you, Alexia, for that warm welcome. I truly appreciate it. I'm really excited to be with you all today. So I want to first start just by welcoming you to today's session on the true role of a mentor. As Alexia said, my name is India Brunson. I serve as a program manager here, and I oversee our career readiness and mentorship programs. So during our time together today, we will explore mentorship's true essence in leadership development, focusing on empowerment, inspiration, and guidance. And as we proceed, just reflect on your own mentorship experiences and their impact on your journey to set the stage for our discussion. All right, so here are some things you can expect during this session. So first, I'll share a little bit about my personal journey and why mentorship has been a cornerstone of my success. As mentorship isn't just about advice, it's about genuine connection and growth. And then next, we'll explore how to find the right mentor by breaking down fit and need. We'll also discuss your role as a mentee and just keeping in mind that it's a two-way street. So being open to proactive feedback and getting some insight from your mentor, but also for mentors being able to get value from your mentee. So we'll talk about the responsibility of being a mentor as an opportunity to guide and inspire the next generation of leaders. And then we'll move on to evaluation and strategy, which is vital to continually assess your mentorship journey to ensure you're meeting your goals and needs. So let's get started on this exciting journey of mentorship together. So I first want to just have everyone share a few words that come to mind when you think of mentorship. So you can scan the QR code there, or you can use the code that Alexia will put in the chat. But just want to get just an idea of what you all, what comes to mind when you think of mentorship. If you haven't had experience with mentorship, maybe just think about what you would want to gain out of being a part of a mentorship opportunity. So I'll give folks a minute to respond. And feel free to drop some words in the chat as well. All right, go back and see if we have any words. Awesome. Okay, so I see help, guru, advice, support, guidance. Those are all great. I think a lot of those speak to the support that you get when you're a part of a mentorship program that you may not get otherwise. So I think those are all very thoughtful answers and responses. And when I think about my journey, all of those words mentioned also come to mind. For me, I think the biggest thing that I received from mentorship is guidance and support that I wouldn't have got otherwise, given my journey. So I grew up in a single parent home and was the first in my family to go to college. So I'm a first generation college student. While this was really exciting for myself and my family, it was also very overwhelming. You know, sometimes you feel like the weight is on your shoulders and it's really up to you to sort of step out of your comfort zone and create a pathway for your family and for future generations. So, not having a roadmap for navigating this world was extremely challenging for me, but what made the difference were my mentors. So, they guided me through the college process, they encouraged me when I doubted myself, and they helped me see possibilities I would have never imagined. So, their support gave me the confidence to complete college, and I ultimately ended up pursuing graduate school and got my master's in social work, which I would not have done, I don't believe, if I didn't have strong advocates in my corner. So, my story is just one example of how powerful mentorship can be. It builds confidence, it creates opportunities, and it can truly change the trajectory of someone's life. So, I want to now dive into how mentorship can elevate your career and personal growth. So, first, having a mentor can significantly increase your chances of promotion up to 5 times, which is pretty powerful statistic. And also consider that feeling of being empowered to pursue your ambitions. So, 87% of both mentors and mentees report feeling more empowered and confident due to their mentoring relationships, according to an organization called Women Ahead. So when we think about some successful figures, and I'll just use Oprah as an example, a lot of these figures attribute their success to having mentors. So a lot of times we think that folks just got, to where they are in their journey by themselves, but that's certainly not true, right? Everybody needs an advocate in their corner. So even the most successful individuals seek guidance and support. So, lastly, mentors don't just boost your career, but they also enhance your job satisfaction. So, people with mentors actually report higher levels of happiness at work. And I think at the end of the day, we all want to be happy, and we want to be happy when we clock in and clock out. And so, it's really a critical part of job satisfaction is having a mentor, somebody that you can go to when you're having challenges or have questions. So, these are just some examples of how mentorship works in a lot of different areas. So now I want to explore why mentorship is so vital in our professional journeys. So first, imagine navigating unfamiliar territory without guidance, which was certainly the case for me as a first generation college student. My mother didn't have maybe that background to be able to say like, here are the things that you need to do. Here are some resources. And so mentorship acts as a compass. It provides direction and insight that demystifies the myth that you may hold for yourself. So for me as a first generation college student, I sometimes felt like, oh, wow, maybe I don't belong here, even though my accomplishments said otherwise. So mentorship not only helps you understand your path, but also clarifies your deeper motivations and your why. So for me, mentorship helped me determine that my why was giving back and helping others succeed, and hence why I explored a career in social work and education because I wanted to give back and help others. So, next, consider the value of access. Mentorship doesn't just open doors, it actually broadens your entire network, bringing you into professional spaces you might not reach by yourself. It offers perspectives that challenge your own. And so it's really good to think about just how mentorship can open doors for you. And during my undergraduate journey and my graduate school journey, I had the opportunity to meet folks that were pretty well established in their careers. And a lot of those network opportunities and connections came from my mentors. Kind of paving the way and saying, hey, I have folks that I want you to meet. I think they would be great to get insight from. And so I want to end this piece by just giving a quote that I thought was really impactful. That mentoring doesn't just change individual lives; it transforms entire communities. So this transformation is the ripple effect of mentorship. So it starts with you, right? Whether you're a mentor or mentee, but it extends far beyond just yourself. So why does mentorship matter? So we talked about a few things. Mentorship is truly transformative. It's not just about professional growth, but it's about setting and achieving your personal goals with clarity and accountability. And I think clarity and accountability are two big things that we'll talk about a lot because sometimes without having somebody to hold you accountable or help you create clear goals, it may be hard to stay on track. So your mentors are there to help you clarify your objectives, break them down into manageable, actionable steps, which is oftentimes the hardest part. We may have goals or objectives, but it's hard to figure out how to achieve them or how to get there. So a mentor is your guide when motivation also dwindles. So sometimes we have these big ideas, but we're not always motivated to complete the small steps that we need to complete to achieve those goals. So they're the ones who will also celebrate your successes, but they'll also hold you accountable. So I think there are two sides to it, but I think mentors are there to support you in all areas. So, beyond goal setting, mentorship offers emotional support. So, it provides a safe space, a no judgment zone where you can express your challenges and feel encouraged. When you feel overwhelmed, mentors remind you that you're not alone in your journey. So, just remember this quote: if you cannot see where you're going, ask someone who's been there before. So, I think this beautifully encapsulates the essence of mentorship. So, where do you start? So, knowing where to start is key. So, let's delve into a crucial step in your mentorship journey, which is self reflection. So, starting within helps clarify your goals when seeking a mentor. So, think about whether you need short term or long term mentoring. How much time can you realistically commit to this process? Consider your current circumstances. Are you aiming for a promotion? Maybe you're looking to pivot and change careers. Or maybe you're just feeling lost and you're not sure what's next for you. So don't worry, we all have those questions that linger from time to time. So definitely know that that's normal. So identifying your growth areas is certainly vital. And recognizing your knowledge gaps and pinpoint areas where you often feel overwhelmed is critical too. So you also want to understand your learning style. Do you prefer formal check-ins? Do you prefer more informal check-ins? Would you benefit more from tough love or gentle encouragement? I know sometimes I need a little bit of both. Reflect on what values matter to you in a mentoring relationship and what kind of person would pass your vibe check. So, is having a similar background important? So, I know for me as a first generation college student, it was extremely important for me to also have a first generation college student mentor who could help me navigate some of the challenges that I was experiencing. So, this self reflection sets the stage for finding a mentor who resonates with you. And it's all about aligning your values and aspirations with the right guidance. So after you think about where do you start, you also want to think about where you're going to look and how you're going to ask. So you want to first start by looking within your own network. So sometimes we realize we have way more connections than what may be visible. So as we start looking, we're like, oh wow, yeah, I actually do know a lot of people. So oftentimes organic mentorships develop naturally in places you're already connected to. So consider professional programs. It may be an employee resource group at work. If you're in school, it may be a school group. But those are all great spaces for mentorship opportunities to evolve. So engage actively in the professional sphere. So this really looks like participating on platforms maybe like LinkedIn. You may want to comment on articles or things that folks are sharing, share resources. All of these things can open doors to potential mentors. So you don't just want to kind of be a bystander. You really want to get out of your comfort zone and take action. Attending network events is a great way to meet potential mentors face to face. Forte has many great resources and opportunities for you to find a mentor. So definitely just take advantage of all of the resources that are within your reach. So, next, thinking about approaching someone to be a mentor, just start with a conversation. So, remember these relationships truly should be organic, they should just be natural. So, it may not be, that in your first conversation you make the ask for them to be a mentor, but maybe it's, you have that in mind, but you want to start out by getting to know that person. So, share why you're reaching out, what you hope to learn, and what exactly you need from them in that moment. Keep the pressure low and be respectful of their time and commitment. And then also just be prepared if the person says no. So sometimes folks are not able to do it, and it may be a no, just not at this time. But it's okay to pivot and it's okay to try elsewhere. So now let's take a moment to hear from each other. So in the chat, share some ways you've asked someone to be a mentor. Did it work for you? And if not, how did you handle it? So I'll give folks a minute to respond to that in the chat. And Alexia, if you see that anyone's given any feedback, please let me know.
Yeah. So it looks like someone mentioned that they use LinkedIn as a way to like ask someone to be a mentor.
Yeah, LinkedIn is a great platform to do that.
And I know, like, I know I'm curious. We're not quite at the Q&A portion, but do you mind answering this question yourself, India? Because you mentioned like, oh, you found
Yeah.
a mentor. Like, how did that develop?
Yeah. So I actually was a part of a program. It's through Trio, which is actually like a government funded program, but it's for first generation college students, and it's for students that want to go to graduate school. So I was a part of that program during my undergrad journey, and actually found my mentor through a research study that I did as a part of the requirements for that program. So she was actually one of my professors. So it just so happened that I actually was not doing very well in this particular course and needed extra support and help. So I actually stayed with her during office hours pretty much like every time she offered office hours during the week. Her and I worked together very closely. She gave me tips, she gave me guidance, and I ended up coming out with a B in that class where I was struggling prior to. So that extra effort definitely helped. But once I became a part of this program with Trio, a part of it was doing a research study. So you had to do that as preparation for grad school. And so I asked my psychology professor if she'd be my mentor, and she said yes. So it kind of just happened, right? Like we had a relationship because she was my professor. I wasn't actually doing very well in her class. So that's one thing. She ended up helping me do well in the class. And ultimately, I thought of her when I was asked to do this research study. I thought, oh, wow, I really want to ask her to be my mentor. And it worked out. So that's my story on how I
That's
found my.
amazing. Yeah, and I love
Yeah,
that you showed that it just happens organically. Like you're working on, so for other people who may not be in school, like maybe you're working on a
yeah,
project with somebody that
yeah,
typically you haven't interacted with, and then through those relationships, you can start to build that type of relationship of a mentor, even if it's not called that right away. It kind of it
yep,
sounds like it just naturally went into it, which is awesome.
naturally.
So thanks for sharing,
Yeah,
India. I just wanted to put
yeah,
that out there.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you all for sharing in the chat. So I'll keep us moving along. So I want to talk briefly just about the role of a mentee in this mentorship experience. So first, it's vital that you create an action plan and agenda. So you really want to be the one kind of being proactive and making this easy for your mentor by being prepared. So it helps with communication, being organized, setting the tone. Next, you want to think about SMART goals. And so you just want to make sure that your goals are specific, they're measurable, they're achievable, they're time bound, and share those with your mentor. And so this will help keep you on track. Also keep your mentor on track too, to note like, hey, these are my mentee's goals. How am I helping this person reach those goals? So also don't forget to come prepared with thoughtful questions to dig deeper. So it really does show your mentor that you're committed to your growth. Creating a list of actionable to-dos is extremely important. And also thinking about your mentorship, your mentor's advice, pieces of advice, like how are you going to implement the feedback that you've been getting? So showing your mentor, like, hey, we talked about maybe working on procrastination before, and this is what I've done to kind of help with that growth area. And you also, lastly, want to evaluate the relationship periodically just to ensure like your needs are being met. So it's okay if they aren't. It may be a conversation with your mentor. Maybe you need more time with them. Maybe you need to change your communication with them. Like maybe you need to meet in person, or maybe it's better if you all are, meeting face to face and having these conversations as opposed to a virtual setting. So just be professional in everything that you do, but also know when you may need to pivot or you may need to ask for more or a different communication platform. So the quote that I share here at the bottom is one that I think truly helped me be vulnerable in times of need. So just seeking feedback really requires you to be courageous and be open to different perspectives. But that same vulnerability is also a strength. So it shows humility, self-awareness, and the willingness to learn from others. So when you seek feedback, you're truly creating opportunities for you to uncover blind spots and refine your skills. So definitely don't be afraid to ask questions and seek that help. And so, next, I want to talk about being an effective mentor. So, if your journey is like mine, you may have also had the opportunity to give back and serve as a mentor. And as a mentor, your role is pivotal in fostering supportive and empowering relationships. So, let's explore some key elements that contribute to effective mentorship. So, first, you want to focus on building rapport and trust. This is the most important piece. So, trust is the foundation of any meaningful relationship, and it allows open communication. And some folks may not know how to build trust, but it's really about just being present, being reliable, listening actively, creating a psychological like safety net for the individual that you're mentoring. And so for me, my mentor created all of those. She listened, she helped, but she also didn't judge. And so I think it's kind of fitting because I wasn't necessarily doing well in that particular course when I think about her as a mentor, and I've had a lot of mentors over time, but she was just willing to help me without judging. So next, while guiding your mentee, you want to remember to ask questions. So just as a mentee asks questions, mentors should ask clarifying questions as well, just to make sure that you're guiding and directing your mentees, decisions in a thoughtful way. Make sure to share resources and opportunities. Opening doors for your mentee may help them expand their network, which is extremely vital for their career. And also, just don't forget to celebrate the milestones, even if they're small. It definitely boosts motivation and reinforces positive progress. So, encourage your mentee to reflect and discover themselves. So, self discovery is a critical key of this relationship. Lastly, provide constructive feedback, which is extremely essential for your mentees' improvement. And then the quote here at the bottom is one that I thought is pretty powerful. So, a mentor is someone who sees more talent and ability within you than sometimes you see in yourself and helps bring that out of you. So, just remember that your impact is definitely long lasting. I know for me, I still think about that particular mentor to this day. All right, and we're almost at the end. So, wanted to just remind you all that this is really a two-way street. So, for mentees, the journey is enriched with guidance and support, which is crucial for navigating new challenges. As they build confidence, they also develop skills that open up expanded opportunities that fosters personal growth. And mentors often find personal fulfillment in nurturing the next generation, experiencing leadership development through this process, and you may also just gain a new, fresh perspective from your mentee. So just remember, mentorship is a two-way street that offers connection and learning for everybody that's involved. So the last thing I want to leave you with is just a little bit about the work that I do now here at Forte. So I have the privilege of supporting a mentorship program of over 30 mentors and mentees, which is amazing. And it gives me also the opportunity to serve as a mentor to college students who, like me, may be the first in their families to walk this path or may be unsure of what's next. And so providing that encouragement is definitely fulfilling for me and something that I'm passionate about. So I wanted to share these quotes. These are from our mentorship program. These are quotes that mentors gave us when they filled out the survey for feedback and also mentees. So as you can see, again, it's a two-way street. Both, I think, got a lot out of the opportunity to be a part of the program. So for me, mentorship is more than guidance. It's a lifeline and a source of confidence, a reminder that none of us achieve our goals alone. So being able to give back and stand on the other side of that relationship is super rewarding. So these quotes are proof that mentorship doesn't just transform lives in a moment. It creates a ripple effect that continues for years to come. So I want to thank you all for joining me today, and I'm more than happy to answer any questions for the time we have left.
Yeah, thank you, India, so much for going over the concept of mentorship and how it benefits like not just you trying to get a member or mentor, excuse me, but also like if you want to be a mentor, what are things to keep in mind as well. So we really appreciate it. I do want to open up to audience Q&A. We do have some time, about 5 minutes before we wrap up. There is one question that I see came in, but if anyone else has other additional questions, we do probably have time for two, hopefully. But the one that I wanted to bring up is kind of based on your experience, both what you do currently at Forte with the mentorship program and maybe even personal experience as well. What are common challenges that people run into that they have to kind of be aware of when it comes to trying to develop a mentorship relationship, or going about that process of you're in a mentorship relationship and something, what are things to just keep in mind to make sure that you're staying on track and keeping it professional?
Yeah, I mean, I think a couple of things that we talk about in our mentorship program when we do our kickoff call is like understanding boundaries and also understanding sort of the commitment that both parties are putting into the process, right? Like for our mentors, a lot of them are like working full time and also going to school. So it's important for our students to understand like they do have other commitments. So we need to be thoughtful about when we schedule meetings and how, how far ahead of time are we scheduling meetings, things like that, that I think, especially for our students, they have to take into account. And then for our mentors as well, I think a lot of them have just learned to be patient, like as they're working with college students, because sometimes things, come up like students have classes, they have other commitments. And so our mentors are really learning, like, yeah, I remember like when I was in college and those same issues, made it hard for me to do a lot of things at once and balance them all. So they're learning just how to be patient, but also just being vulnerable and sharing like what they actually need. So for our students, I think it's encouraging them to just be open and honest with their mentor about what works for them. I think a lot of folks are scared to do that, but saying like, hey, you know, um, I want you to hold me accountable. These are the things that I feel like I'm not as strong in, and I want you to help me work on. And for our mentors, also just giving open and honest feedback. So sometimes it's just challenging in terms of communication, especially when it's like college students and maybe folks who are in the professional space and have been out of college for a while. So those are some of the challenges that I've seen with our current program. But I think a lot of it is just communicating, being patient, and being understanding. And that's really the whole like, the whole key of like being successful in mentorship is just having a good understanding um, of your mentor, of your mentee.
Yeah, I love what you also said there about like setting boundaries. Like, and that's part of the communication process of making it clear what you can and can't do. And
Yep.
that actually kind of ties into another question that someone has that maybe you can just kind of expand on, like setting boundaries, if you will. But they
Yeah.
mentioned they're feeling guilty for taking their mentor's time. And so like how can
Mm,
they can kind of get that confidence to know that it's a two-way relationship, if you will. So I don't know if you
yeah.
have any thoughts or advice for this individual.
Yeah, it's easy to feel that way, right? Because a lot of times you feel like, well, first, it's important to note like this person agreed to be your mentor, right? So don't feel bad about taking their time. Like that's the whole point of what they've agreed to, right? They've agreed for you to take some of their time so they can give you feedback and advice and support. But it is common to feel that way. But I would just say making sure that you understand like your mentor's boundaries again. So, like if you're scheduling a meeting the day before, you're like, hey, I want to meet tomorrow. Like, knowing that may not be feasible, so kind of making sure that you're having those conversations with your mentor. But it's totally normal to feel like you're taking up space. Maybe I know I felt like that a lot. But you know your mentors are there to support you, and they wouldn't have agreed to do that if they didn't feel like they could commit to it. So that's why it's really important to reflect on the type of mentor that you want, and also ensuring that that person has the capability and the time to be able to devote to however many meetings you're wanting to do during this portion of your mentorship experience, or the goals that you have. So just making sure that you're both on the same page and you're aligned, I think, is really important.
Yeah, it sounds like it just comes back to that communication. So making sure like you're very honest with your needs as well as understanding what their needs are, since it's again that two-way street. So we probably only have time for one more question. Of course, there's a ton more that are popping in, but I feel like just to kind of get it back into mentorship. So you had a slide that talked a little bit about like how do you find a mentor? So could
Mhm.
you just like touch on maybe some more examples of like how do I find one? So this individual is it sounds like they're kind of out of college, so they're more in professional spaces. And so they mentioned like, college, it was a little bit easier. And even you mentioned that
Yeah.
you were in a program that kind of set you up to be able to find a mentor. So thinking of more of the professional world space, any ideas, thoughts, suggestions of where they could start potentially?
Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of like my mentors that have been that I've had throughout my professional journey. I think it was just like events like this or like conferences or things like that where I like met folks, and initially we just started maybe talking about our kids or, things like that. And then naturally it was like, oh, wow, this person really has like an extensive resume. And I feel like I could really gain a lot. Like I know one of my previous mentors, I actually met her at a conference for work, and just realized like she would be an amazing mentor. But it was kind of after we just started talking, it wasn't even about work. And then once I started to kind of go back and see all of the things that she had done, I was like, oh, wow, she'd be a great mentor. So I think events like these, networking events, conferences, we talked about like employee resource groups or different, kind of pieces that are embedded within your organization that you can be a part of, I think can also create opportunities for you to find mentors as well.
Yeah, I love that idea of like being open like to whenever someone walks into your life, if you will, even if you don't expect it.
Mhm.
And then just through that organic connection that you have, you can potentially develop a mentorship relationship. So, thank you so much, India. I know we're at time, so I want to respect, everyone's most likely lunch break, depending on where you're at. So again, thank you so much, India, for being here today, for talking to our audience about mentorship. Again, for our audience, this is a three-part series we're doing for Leadership Coach specifically. So we did networking, so looking at your network specifically, and then now we're doing mentorship, obviously, with India, and then coming up next we'll have sponsorship. So talking the difference between sponsors and mentors, since they're both critical for career development. So what I would like to do right now is actually just talk about some upcoming events that we have at Forte real quick. So I mentioned the next part in the Leadership Coach series. It's not going to be till December, so registration's not live yet, but it should be by next month. So what I also want to just kind of mention some other webinars that are coming up in the month of October. So we have a business essential that talks about allyship regarding people of power and how they can be better allies. We also have a career coach workshop coming up, Biscuit Bites. So it's kind of inspired by Ted Lasso. So talking about leadership lessons, if you're interested in that, feel free to register. And then we finally just want to mention for those that may be seeking full-time career opportunities, we have a virtual career fair for our professional audience. So if you're interested, we just hit registration is live now, which is awesome. So feel free to register, meet with some of our member companies that are going to be attending here if you're interested in making a career pivot or just looking for a different job. So that's pretty much all we have to share with you today. So again, thank you everybody. Love that we were able to have this conversation on